Stop the car. Now, my husband said quietly. That choice kept us alive. I didn't know what he meant. Not at first. We were just 20 minutes from my parents' house. The girls were humming along to the wrong lyrics of an old Taylor Swift song in the back seat. The air smelled like gas station coffee and cinnamon gum. I had my hand on the wheel, cruise control set, and my brain halfway zoned out. Stop the car. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't panic. He just leaned slightly forward, eyes locked on something in the side mirror, and repeated it. Stop. Now. I felt my stomach twist before my brain caught up. His voice wasn't sharp. It was hushed. Like he didn't want to alert someone. Like the danger was already in the car with us. I glanced over at him, eyebrows raised. What? Just trust me. Pull off at the next exit. Anywhere. His voice cracked slightly. That's when I knew it was real. We were on the final stretch of the drive to my mother's birthday dinner, a gathering I'd spent the past 2 weeks dreading. I'd almost canceled. Twice. But guilt has a way of rewriting your calendar. I told myself it would just be a weekend. Just food and forced smiles. Maybe a few passive-aggressive digs from my sister. The usual. But something about the way Jack said it, soft and urgent, split the air inside our car like a razor. I nodded slowly, blinked, and turned on the signal. We slipped off the highway and onto a small tree-lined road. It curved around a wooded area and opened up into a gravel lot behind a defunct bakery. As soon as the car stopped, Jack reached over and turned off the ignition. His hands were shaking. Jack, I whispered. What's going on? He didn't answer right away. He just leaned back in his seat, exhaled hard, and then looked at the girls in the back seat. Hey, can you both take off your headphones for a second? He said gently. Their little faces turned toward us, my oldest with her crooked glasses sliding down her nose, my youngest still chewing the gummy worm she'd hidden in her hoodie. Innocent. Oblivious. I need you to stay in the car, okay? Don't move. Don't open the doors. Just stay right here. Why? My youngest asked. Are we lost? No, I said, forcing a smile I didn't feel. We just need a quick moment outside. That's all. Just don't get out of the car, okay? I stepped out into the crisp air and met Jack at the trunk. He didn't open it yet. He just stood there, staring at it like it had teeth. What is it? I whispered. That red bag. The one your mom gave us yesterday, he said. Did you look inside it? No, I said, brow furrowing. She said it had party favors for the kids. Party favors? He repeated, his voice clipped with disbelief. Then why did she whisper to you not to open it until we got there? I blinked. I had forgotten that moment. Standing in my parents' garage, she handed me the duffel bag with a quick smile and a hushed, "Don't unzip it, honey. Just keep it in the car till we're all together." At the time, I thought it was a surprise, something dumb and sentimental, like a photo album or her famous banana bread. Now, my hands began to sweat. Jack opened the trunk. The red duffel sat beside our girls' backpacks, wedged next to the cooler of juice boxes and car snacks. He unzipped it slowly. Inside, beneath a layer of tissue paper and a folded cardigan, was a gray shoebox. Taped shut. Jack didn't say anything. He just peeled the tape, lifted the lid, and pulled out a black Ziploc bag packed with stacks of cash. Dozens of them. Hundreds. Band-wrapped, clean, and cold. I stared. Is this a joke? He handed me one of the stacks. I turned it in my hands. The rubber band dug into my fingers. Real. All of it. No joke. Jesus, Jack. He leaned closer and whispered, "This isn't money someone keeps in their closet. This is drop money. This is laundering. Bribery. Something they wanted to move without leaving a fingerprint." And that's when it hit me. The phone call last week. The weird phrasing. My mom had asked, "Would you mind taking an extra bag in your car? Your sister's car is full. Just this one thing. You know we trust you." Trust. That was the word. That's what they were counting on. My hands started to shake. They put this in our car. With the kids. Jack nodded, jaw clenched. This wasn't an accident, I said. They knew. They knew we'd be going through the interstate checkpoint. Yes, he said. And they wanted it to look normal. Family car. 2 kids. They were using us as cover. I had to sit down. The gravel crunched under me as I crouched next to the car, my hands pressed to my forehead. Everything suddenly made sense. The sudden warm invitations. The apology texts from my sister after months of silence. The forgive and forget messages that came out of nowhere. They didn't want reconciliation. They wanted a clean route. They wanted a mule with a seatbelt and child safety locks. My heart thudded like a warning drum. My face flushed with heat. I had spent my whole life trying to be the good daughter. The safe one. The reliable one. My sister was the storm. I was the anchor. That's what they told me. That's what I believed. But in that moment, I realized something cold and awful. They never wanted an anchor. They wanted a shield. A tool. A cover. They knew I wouldn't say no. And that's exactly why they picked me. Jack zipped the duffel shut. What do we do? I asked. We drop it off, he said. We're not keeping this in the car. We're not driving to your mother's house like nothing happened. We're not getting arrested for something we didn't choose. I looked back at the car. Our girls were watching from the window, faces pressed to the glass, still innocent. Still safe. For now. I stood slowly. I was trembling not from fear, but from something deeper. From rage. From grief. From betrayal. And as Jack opened the car door to drive us somewhere safer, I realized this wasn't just a warning. This was a beginning. Jack didn't speak as we pulled back onto the road. The red duffel bag sat silent in the trunk. I kept glancing at the rearview mirror like I expected it to come alive, like I could feel it breathing behind us. The girls were quiet now, too. Our oldest had put her headphones back on. The youngest was slumped sideways, hugging a worn-out unicorn plush. A cartoon played on the iPad screen between them. It didn't match the tension vibrating in the front seats. Where are we going? I asked softly. Somewhere public, Jack said. Someplace neutral. Then we're going back. Not to your mom's, to their house. We leave the bag. We make sure it's not with us. And then. He didn't finish. He didn't have to. And then we cut them off completely. I didn't argue. I stared out the window as we passed farmland and power lines and empty bus stops, my mind unraveling years of false memories like a frayed blanket. Things I hadn't thought about in decades came roaring back. That time in high school when Mom had me drive a sealed envelope to a friend across town. She'd promised me it was just a birthday card. The strange packages that came and went from my sister's apartment after her second DUI. Dad's insistence that I never open a bag that doesn't have my name on it, said half-jokingly, but with dead eyes. It was never random. I'd just been too loyal or too naive to see it. We stopped at a tiny roadside cafe next to a lake. Jack parked in the shade. He rolled down the windows halfway and handed me his phone. I want you to call her, he said. Who? Your mother. Ask her what's in the bag. My stomach flipped. Jack, you don't have to accuse her. Just ask. See what she says. I dialed. She picked up after 2 rings. Sweetheart. Her voice chirped with that sugary tone she reserved for saving face. You're almost here, right? We're setting the table. Your sister's making that awful sangria again. Hey, Mom, I said, keeping my tone flat. Quick question. The red duffel you gave us, what exactly is in it? There was a beat of silence. Then her tone shifted, just slightly. Most people wouldn't notice it. But I did. It was the difference between hi, honey, and what do you know? Oh, it's just little things, sweetheart. Don't open it. It's a surprise. For the girls. Something for the party. A surprise. I said. Yes. Why? I let the silence stretch. Then I said, you're sure that's all that's in it? Another pause. Longer. Of course, darling. Why? Did something happen? No, I said calmly. I just wanted to double check. Well, don't peek, okay? You know I love to make things special. She gave a nervous laugh. I didn't respond. I hung up. Jack didn't ask what she said. He already knew. We made it to my parents' house about an hour later. The driveway was empty. They hadn't expected us yet. The front door was still painted that dusty blue I remembered from childhood, faded now, like everything else about this place. The porch light was on, even though it was the middle of the afternoon. Jack got out first. I followed. My hands were numb. We went to the trunk. The red bag looked heavier now, like it was holding not just cash, but years of denial and control and complicity. Jack picked it up, careful, almost reverent, like he was handling a live grenade. We walked it to the front door. I found the spare key taped behind the fake rock under the rosebush. Still there. Still stupid. We stepped inside. The house smelled like lemon-scented cleaner and old furniture. He set the bag in the foyer. Didn't zip it open. Didn't adjust it. Just placed it like a quiet bomb waiting to detonate. Then he locked the door behind us and we left. No note. No message. Just silence. The drive home was quiet. I think we both felt that speaking would contaminate something, like words would break the stillness in a way that couldn't be fixed. That night, after the girls were asleep, I sat on the couch with my knees pulled up to my chest and stared at nothing. The living room felt too quiet. Jack sat across from me. "I'm sorry," I whispered. "Why are you apologizing?" he asked gently. "Because I should have known. About them. About all of it." He leaned forward. "You were conditioned not to know." "That's not the same." I stared at my hands. "They used us. Used the kids." He didn't say it, but we both knew what that meant. They were willing to get us arrested. Or worse. That wasn't just betrayal. That was abandonment. The next day, the phone started ringing. First, my mom. Then my dad. Then my sister. Voicemails piled up. "Where are you? What happened? Are you okay? Where's the bag?" They never came right out and said anything incriminating. They weren't stupid. But the tone, the urgency, told me everything I needed to know. On the third day, my mother showed up. No warning. Just the doorbell ringing like it was a holiday visit. I knew it was her before I looked. There's a pressure that comes through a front door. A kind of static in the air when it's someone who knows what they've done and is pretending they don't. I stepped outside and shut the door behind me. She stood on the porch, smiling like this was all a misunderstanding. She wore her usual pearls and pastel sweater, like she was dressed for forgiveness. "Honey," she said softly. We were so worried. I didn't say anything. We didn't know what happened. "You just vanished." Still nothing. Her voice dropped half an octave. "Can we talk?" "We're talking," I said flatly. She sighed. "I don't know how much you think you saw." "You don't know how much I saw?" I interrupted. She blinked. "I saw the money, Mom. I saw how you used my car. My kids. I saw your smile when you handed it to me like a favor." Her expression froze. "You risked all of us," I continued. "You didn't just betray me. You endangered your grandchildren." There was a flicker of something in her face, not guilt. Not shame. Annoyance. Like I was being difficult. "You always assume the worst," she said. "It wasn't dangerous." "You didn't ask," I snapped. "You decided. Like always. And you decided I could take the fall if anything went wrong." "It wasn't like that." "No? Then tell me what it was." She opened her mouth. Closed it. Swallowed hard. "We were in a tough spot," she finally said. "Your father. There were debts. And your sister." I laughed. Sharp and bitter. "Of course," I said. "It always comes back to her. She needed help. And I didn't matter? You always think you're the victim." "No," I said. "I always think you're the one with the matches. I'm just the one putting out fires." She stepped back like I'd slapped her. "You'll come around," she said. "You always do." "No," I said. "Not this time." I turned. Went inside. Locked the door. And I didn't look back. But the story didn't end there. 3 days later, I went to pick the girls up from school. They weren't there. My stomach dropped. The teacher looked up from her clipboard and smiled casually. "Oh, your parents picked them up a little early. They said you called them." I stood frozen. Mouth dry. "I didn't." "Sorry," the teacher said, confused. "I didn't tell them to do that." I don't remember leaving the parking lot. I remember the sound of the turn signal. I remember the streetlights blurring as I drove like my hands were on fire. When I pulled into my parents' driveway, it was like walking into a dream gone wrong. Balloons on the mailbox. A bounce house in the yard. Music. Laughter. My daughters were running through the grass with party hats and armfuls of gifts. My mom was slicing cake like this was a birthday party, not a hostage situation in disguise. I got out of the car and stormed to the porch. "What the hell is this?" I said. My dad stood there, smiling like a salesman. "Just a little surprise. We thought we'd do something fun." "Without telling me?" "You've been distant," my mom said, walking toward me. "We thought we'd fix things." "You thought cake and toys would fix it?" I snapped. She flinched. "This isn't love. This is bribery." The girls came running toward me. "Mom, look what Grandma got us." They held out dolls, Legos, and expensive tech I never approved. My oldest beamed. My youngest had frosting on her face. I looked at them. My heart cracked. "Can we keep it?" one of them asked, holding up a stuffed bear. I nodded. Yes, because saying no would have made me the villain. And I wasn't giving my parents that win. As we walked back to the car, my mother called out behind us. "They'll come back. They always do." Her voice was sing-song, confident, delusional. That night, I didn't cry. I didn't argue. I sat on the edge of the bed and said, "We need to leave." Jack didn't ask where or why. He nodded. "I don't want them near the girls. Not at school. Not at the store. Not within a mile." He nodded again. "You mentioned North Carolina," I said. "The job transfer? It's still on the table. Take it." And, just like that, we made the choice. Not for revenge. Not for drama. But for peace. We didn't announce our move. We didn't post photos. We didn't leave a forwarding address. We disappeared, not out of fear, but because we were finally free. Jack's company fast-tracked the relocation. Within 2 weeks, we were on the road again, this time headed toward the Blue Ridge Mountains, toward pine trees and slow mornings and a life without strings. I remember staring out the window as we crossed state lines, the girls asleep in the back, their heads tilted like matching bookends. I held Jack's hand between the gear shifts. We didn't talk much on that drive. We didn't have to. Something inside me had gone quiet. Not numb, still. It was the stillness that comes after you finally stop bleeding. We arrived in North Carolina on a rainy Tuesday. The air smelled like moss and fresh starts. Our new house was smaller and older, but wrapped in the kind of silence I hadn't felt in years. The backyard had a swing hanging from a tree. The kitchen windows looked out on a patch of forest that glowed golden in the afternoon. Jack's parents lived 20 minutes away, good people. Honest. Quiet. The kind of grandparents who asked permission before giving a snack. The girls started school the following week. No tears. No resistance. They adjusted fast, like even their little nervous systems recognized what safety felt like. We blocked the numbers. Deleted old texts. Changed emails. At first, I checked my phone obsessively, like a trauma reflex. I kept waiting for the next surprise visit, the next manipulation disguised as a family gesture. But it didn't come. Not right away. About 6 weeks into our new life, I got a voicemail from a cousin I barely knew. "Hey, so, your mom's been trying to reach you. She says she doesn't know where you are, and she's really upset. You said you cut off contact. I don't know what's going on, but family matters, you know." I deleted the message. Didn't reply. I was done explaining my boundaries to people who were only curious, not concerned. It was a few months later, winter barely brushing the pines, when I opened my email and saw her name. Subject line, emergency. Please read. It was from my sister. My stomach clenched. But I opened it anyway. "They got caught," she wrote. "This time for real. Border agents. Canada. Car search. They tried to move cash and product. No one else in the car. No scapegoats. They were arrested. They're facing serious charges." I stared at the screen, unmoving. "I know things have been tense," she continued. "But they need help. They need a lawyer. We don't have the money. You're the only one who can fix this. Please, you're still their daughter. Family sticks together." That line. You're still their daughter. Like biology was a leash. Like betrayal had an expiration date. I hovered over the keyboard for a long time. Then I hit reply. "I showed up once. I'm not doing it again." Sent. The news found its way to me anyway. Family trees have deep roots and loud mouths. Turns out they had enough in the trunk for a felony. Possession. Intent to distribute. Interstate trafficking. They took a deal. For years each. Not life-changing, but not a slap on the wrist either. I imagine them in prison, my mother asking for a different pillow, my father pretending he belonged there. My sister visiting with crocodile tears and folded letters. I didn't feel satisfaction. I felt confirmation. I hadn't overreacted. I had escaped. One afternoon, I walked my daughters home from school. The youngest had won a sticker for reading the most pages. The oldest had helped a classmate learn a new word. They told me this between bites of apple slices, skipping ahead, not a care in the world. That night, Jack and I watched them sleep. He wrapped his arm around me and whispered, "We did the right thing." And I knew he was right. We had protected them, not just from a single incident, but from a generational sickness disguised as loyalty. I don't check voicemails anymore. I don't second-guess my choices. And I don't feel guilty for cutting them off. Not even for a second. Some people call that revenge. I call it survival. So, tell me, did I go too far or not far enough? Let me know in the comments. And if you're new here, hit subscribe. There's more where this came from.